Well, welcome back to another episode of the Meaningful Topics podcast. Today we're here with Alex, which is quite a treat because Alex is a little bit different than most of our guests in the sense that golf is kind of secondary to his day-to-day career. So we're excited to dive into that and how golf supplements and boosts his business. But Alex, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah, definitely. Happy to be here for sure. So yes, I am a golf nerd. I love golf, but it's a little bit backwards for me. It's not my main source of income or the center of my life. So my center of my life is actually real estate and construction. So I am an Arizona native, born in Tucson, live in Scottsdale now. I got into real estate straight out of college. So I went to U of A, graduated, didn't really know what to do, had some thoughts and some ideas of a vision of a career, and then I went into real estate. And then I just never turned back. I just picked it and ran with it, and I've grown to have a good, successful business. So I run a real estate team. I've got 24 agents that work for me on my team, and we serve all over Arizona. Amazing. But the fun thing for me is I made a decision. I've always loved golf. I've always watched it growing up, watching Tiger, playing Tiger Woods on Xbox and PlayStation, but I didn't really get to play the sport growing up. I actually was a college athlete. I played rugby, believe it or not. Yeah, way different.
Fun, yeah.
It's not a golfer, buddy.
No, a little different.
So I liked golf. I had interest in it. It wasn't part of my athletic life ever. Almost every other sport was. Then I got into college, and that's kind of what a lot of guys, I think, sort of pick up golf typically if they didn't play in high school, maybe college, post-college. However, I was a college athlete, so I didn't really have time to pick up golf then. Yeah, wanted to, but I'm like, I'll get to it someday. Then I graduate college and I just go head first into the real estate world. And it was a grind. I mean, I was like, I had to really grind to work it out. And in my mind, I didn't really think I should be going and golfing. I thought, and I really, truly, I made a lot of sacrifices. I mean, I tell my guys I teach now, I'm like, the first 2 years I skipped the U of A tailgates because I still lived in Tucson. I skipped the parties. I skipped all that stuff. I just put my head down and worked. Yeah. I skipped golf still. So eventually, after I'd built my career, played here and there, no real coaching or structure to the game. Your typical guy who plays a couple times a year, just plays, but doesn't really understand or appreciate the game. And then I would say about 3 years ago, I decided, hey, I do like golf. I play a few times a year, occasionally, but I'm not very good at it. I've never really tried to learn the game. I don't understand the game, and I want to learn. Yeah, and the result from that is really cool. So, I mean, it ties into just enjoying the game, but also it's a big part of my business. So that's kind of the cliff notes of my golf journey. And I delayed it until I finally let myself get into the game, and it's given me a lot in return. It's given me some really fun stuff.
Oh, that is exciting. I'm looking forward to diving more into that and what golf has given you through your personal life and professional life. But it honestly is a little rare for me. Maybe this is just my perspective and I haven't been exposed enough to the realty world. But it seems a little bit rare to go straight out of college into realty.
Totally.
As you said, you mentor some other realtors. And do you feel like you have a unique perspective because that's like what you've wanted to do from the beginning?
Yeah, and yes and no.
Okay.
It wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do.
Okay.
It's what I chose to do. It's a great question. I'm glad you asked. I just chose to do it. I was interested in development, like commercial building development, but that was 13-ish, 14 years ago. Okay. And there wasn't a lot of that going on. And it was kind of at a crossroads. I don't really know what to do. So I had some real estate knowledge and I just chose to get into it. And it was hard. My first year, I couldn't afford cable or internet. I walked to a coffee shop at night to do my work. I mean, I was that entry level struggling. Nowadays, realtors have Instagram, TikTok. It's way easier to be in the game. Okay. But yeah, I have a good idea of how to coach people because it's kind of like if you were ever to work maybe at a golf course and you start as like the cart guy, then you work your way up, maybe then you're like the cart manager, and then maybe you get your way into the pro shop, and then maybe you're a golf pro, right? It's kind of like I did that with real estate. Now I own my essentially franchise or my company, but I can relate to the kid who's fresh out of college who's like, I have no money, I have no skills, I don't know what to do. Well, I'll guide you. So yeah, definitely. A lot of the things I've applied to real estate, I've applied to golf, and then also stuff I've learned from golf, I've taken it back into real estate too. Okay. Which has helped a lot. Yeah. They totally kind of mirror each other, for better or for worse. Both are super frustrating sometimes. It's super rewarding, but sometimes you want to grab your hair, throw your clubs, or get upset. But also sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Both give you, being a business owner gives you the highs of helping somebody, you crush that deal, they get their house, they get a great deal. And then there are things that don't work out in real estate.
Yeah.
Golf, get
Same
that
thing.
flushed shot right by the pin, or you throw it in the water and you want to throw your clubs away.
Exactly.
It's like they're really very mirror each other.
Yes, yeah, that's huge. And it does take a lot of patience and flexibility. Is there anything that you would recommend for someone that's getting either starting in golf or starting in real estate that you would that you've learned from and you would recommend to others?
Yeah, I guess let's talk about golf. I mean, real estate's real estate, and I can talk about that. But golf, I have learned a lot. I would recommend learning the game backwards.
Okay.
So my swing now and where I'm at as a low single-digit player started from learning backwards,
Okay.
meaning starting with the chipping, the boring stuff. And I'm sure you know this, being a PGA professional. My swing now is built from the short game. Like my short game, chipping a pitch shot is just a fraction of my full swing.
Yeah.
Versus I think most of us get in, we grab our clubs, we go to the range and swing, I don't know, like a 7-iron driver. I built it from the ground up with the short game first.
Yeah.
And then I would give somebody that advice, like get really good at chipping and putting, and have somebody explain the biomechanics of the swing, like how your body's supposed to move. Don't just go to like YouTube University and be like, Bryson's putting his arm and wrist this way, and maybe I should shallow it this way. Most of that stuff doesn't work. I tried it. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Learn how your body's supposed to move, the big muscles, the little muscles. Start with the short game, and then slowly build your, because if you can hit a really good like half pitch shot, proper, like on plane, compressed, then you can hit a full shot.
Yeah.
And I think people like forget that that's actually the foundation of, at least for me, I think that, I believe that to be true. That's what worked for me, is when I committed 3 years ago to like, I'm going to learn this game. It started there. Started with the short game first and built off from there. So that's my number one. And there's a lot of things I could share, but that'd be my first piece of advice.
Okay, yeah, I love that one. I think I really highly recommend that one as well. And when we do women's clinics out here, I always tell them, like, go to your local muni. It's free to chip and putt. That's where you're going to improve your game. That's where you're going to impress everyone too. Like, no matter what your goal is with golf and getting started with golf, you'll always impress someone around the greens. Like, it's where you score.
And I feel like learning the game, you can learn golf swing, like go out there on the mats and like swing the club, or you can learn the game of golf. I didn't really know there was a difference.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference.
Yes.
There's like, oh yeah, you get your lesson, you go with the coach for an hour and they're trying to get you on plane and like hit the ball, but like there's a reason that doesn't translate to the course, because they're two different things.
They are.
And I learned that the hard way. I'm like, dude, I'm a range warrior. I'm so good with my 7-iron in the range, and I get out because I don't know. Nobody ever taught me the game. My next thing is like if you're gonna get serious about golf, is go out and play with better players who will teach you the game. It's not really like very shallow or steep or swing plan. It's like, do you know how this game works? Do you know how you're supposed to align and hit the right shots to minimize your errors? Most people don't. I just was playing yesterday. Lookout Mountain.
Yeah.
Super tight course.
It is, yeah.
You know, my friends are wondering why I'm like smoking them. I'm like, you guys are hitting driver when you shouldn't be hitting driver. You don't understand the game we're playing. We're not supposed to be hitting driver here for a reason. There's a lot that I think some people will never lower their handicap because nobody took the time to go out with them, play around and be like, this is the club you hit here. This is how the game works. This is how you score. And then there's like coaching for two different things. And I had to learn that the hard way too, because I was so frustrated. I'm like, why is it that I look like I have a good swing and then I go out and I shoot 90? It doesn't make sense. Nobody ever taught me the game. I don't know.
That's huge. Yeah, asking someone to teach you the game, it's really important. And then also, like you said, it takes a bit of humility too, to not like grab the club that you're supposed to hit off the tee, like, and really think it through and be like, I don't want to do that because I'm playing my game, which is different than what their game is, no matter what they think about this club choice here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too reminded me, you asked about real estate too. To learn that, you have to kind of surrender to a process. And so with golf, you have to just like give in and just bite the bullet and learn. Be humbled. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really uncomfortable. Grip is going to feel all clunky. Well, same with real estate. Like, just get a really good coach and surrender to the process. Just do what they say, even if it feels awkward, like calling somebody and saying this or posting a video of you on a house tour. Like, get uncomfortable and surrender to the process. If a coach is telling you that this is what you have to do, I just changed my grip. like 2 weeks ago for the first time ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like interlock. Now I overlap. And I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to argue or complain. I'm just going to do it. And actually it worked beautiful. It wasn't really that as scary as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So I just surrendered to the process.
That's a perfect example of getting uncomfortable, literally, with the grip and surrendering to it. Yeah.
Same with real estate, same with business ownership.
Yeah.
People don't want to be uncomfortable. It's like you're gonna win, you're gonna lose, but usually you're gonna find somebody who will coach you, but you just have to listen and realize that they have done this before.
Yeah.
They can take you where you need to go, but you gotta just surrender. Just let it go and just do what they say, and then you will win. A lot of us have that like, we kind of want to do a little bit, but I'm not all in because I think I know better.
Yes.
But you don't know any better. You don't. Just surrender.
Yes,
right?
That's where growth comes from. Absolutely, being uncomfortable first, letting someone call you out on some stuff too that you needed to hear, most likely.
Oh yeah. I get called out all the time with my coaches, and I like it. And I call out people. I ran a morning meeting I was kind of hard on them in a good way, but usually they respond. They're like, "We're all fired up right now." I'm like, "Good, you should be, because this is how you become a champion." You know, like I fire them up and I get into them sometimes, but that's what I want. That's what I want, and that's what they need too. And I need that from my coaches too.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, I love that. That's really good. I mean, surrounding yourself with people, or your business with people that are willing to grow and be uncomfortable with you is key, I think.
Yeah.
In all elements of life. And I've heard quite a few PGA pros. I've tried this myself too, where you teach yourself the opposite hand. So if I'm right-handed, teach myself left-handed, just to feel what it feels like to be at that like bottom, just learning. And to understand, like, okay, now I'm humbling myself right now because I don't care what it looks like on the range. I might go to a different course to practice right now because it's all backwards, but
Totally.
It's important to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions to understand kind of a better perspective.
Yeah, I think the group is important. Like you reminded me of something super important that I've done with real estate is same with golf. I didn't do this for a while. And first of all, I love playing with my buddies. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. I will play with anybody. However, if you do really want to get better, you do have to get yourself in the right rooms with business owners and people who are getting better, and that environment will make you better, just like on the golf course. For me, from a beginner, that I've noticed is mostly I would play with other people about the same skill level and 15, 20 handicaps, and I don't learn anything from them. Watching their swing, their choices, there's nothing that they can teach me because they were equals. Then you go out and play with somebody like you or a good player, you can pick up on their tempo, how their short game shots are. I watch everybody. If you've ever played with me and you're a really good player, I probably watched everything that you were doing. I played with some Korn Ferry Tour players, some Epsom players, and I have fun, but I'm very observant. I watch their pre-shot routine, the choices they're making, their tempo. I watch everything, and I'm a super visual learner, so I can get better just by watching them. And it's also important to have camaraderie and go play with your buddies and have a good time. But if you want to get better, you have to, and if you can't find them, go play by yourself and hope. Don't think the opposite of like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't get paired with a good player. Embrace it, and they're gonna want you to do better too. They're not gonna get pissed off just because you're 20 handicap.
Yeah.
They're gonna want to teach you and want you to enjoy the game, because the better you get, I'm enjoying the game more.
That's huge. Yeah, it's exactly how you carry yourself in those situations. If you walk into it saying, I want to learn, I'm going to be humble in the process and listen to you, there's like rarely ever a person that gets like put off by that.
No good player would be like, oh my gosh, don't play with it. Like, hey, it's a great attitude. Yeah, let's have a good round and see what happens.
Yes, yeah. And like you said, there's so many opportunities when you're looking for them. And like if you actually are looking for a place to play better golf with, there's so many skins games and things will just start popping up if you start asking people like, hey, do you know where like local pros play for fun? Like things like that. Those answers kind of reveal themselves to you once you actually start asking questions. I think similar in the business space too, when you're looking for mentors and things like that, you start asking around and you'll find like the right person.
Totally.
Yeah, I really like that. So then, everyone's heard the business gets done on the golf course. And I've heard actually, Bob Parson actually kind of debunked that, or he's not debunked, but he pushed back on that a little bit. And I've heard different reasons why people stand behind that statement. I'd love to hear your opinion of that statement and if you get business done on the golf course, or, kind of like just any first thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I'm more on the stance of Mr. Parsons for a reason, because I made an effort to bring some joy back to my career, which is real estate. I've been doing it forever. And I'm like, I want to work with golfers. Like, you're my ideal client. This is who I want. And it's worked by integrating golf, but my deals don't ever get done on the course. What gets done are relationships. It should say relationships get done on the golf course.
Yeah, I
Your
agree.
deal doesn't get done out there. But what happens is you find like-minded people. You have a time to get one-on-one with them.
Yeah.
And then you figure out who they are. And some of them actually probably have saved me a lot of headache and stress by being like, I don't want to play with that guy.
Yeah.
He's cheating and throwing his clubs and he's like a hot mess. Like, I don't think I would want to sell him a house. He's probably a nightmare client.
Yeah.
So I kind of see where Bob's coming from. I think that relationships get created on the golf course and then they become your friend. And then this is how, as a business owner, I approach it. This is exactly how I approach it, right? If I go out and play with you, I'm going to want to get your phone number, connect. Of course, I'm going to want you to follow me on IG and follow back and get you into my little social web. And I want you to see, because I've set up my social media in a way that has social proof. Like, if you come to Instagram, you're like, okay, he likes golf. He's definitely really good at what he does. He does real estate. And then from there, the relationship starts to form. And then hopefully if you're producing content that's engaging, that people will like, that teaches them about golf, real estate, buying or selling a home, they will remember they had a good experience with me on the golf course. I will have brought them enough value to be considered for their purchase or sale. And then and from there, I'm trying to go out and play more rounds with them and create that relationship. So I think the golf course has brought me relationships through golf, but the deals don't get done out there at all. It's really, it's the bond and it's how you approach it. Also, I always want to have value when I'm out there. I'm never like, oh, Mariah, come work with me.
Yeah.
What I probably would do is, like, if you've ever thought about buying or selling a house, I have this really cool YouTube playlist that walks you through step by step. It's super cool. Have you ever seen anything like that? And you're going to say no, because you haven't, I'm assuming, right?
No, I haven't. No.
Exactly. I'm like, hey, here, before the round ends, let me just text it to you. That way, if, in the next year or two, you ever think about buying a house, this is going to really hook you up. You're going to love this. Of course, you can call me if you need help, but I think you're going to love this. So I already am equipped with something to help you of value. And that's how I've brought the fun back. So that's my long-winded answer.
I love that. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, but the relationships happen if you put effort to them and you have value out there. And then also, I think, I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I do think this is true. The better player you are, the more likely people are to like you on the golf course. It's so cheesy. Is it not true?
No, it is.
It's
it
easier.
is. It is kind of easier. Yeah, I will say that. And when you're having a rough day, it just get awkward. Like for anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, people like seeing good shots. Like they like celebrating, and you don't really know what to say sometimes when it's like a rough day.
Yeah.
So I mean, the better player, it's a little easier. And when you're having a rough day, you have to approach it with more humility and kind of have to keep, bringing up topics to change the subject, things like that. But yeah, it is. If you are better, it's easier to have a nice round.
Yeah, because some people are like, why do you spend so much time on golf? I'm like, well, now if I play with strangers, for the most part, I'm a pretty decent player. I went out yesterday, met a new guy that's friends with my other friends, and I played very well, especially in his eyes. And he's like, oh, this guy's so good. So he's automatically going to kind of probably like me, want to be my friend, want to connect with me on IG just because I can hit the ball really well. And that's just because the game is so hard. Versus if I'm equal to him, he probably still will have a good time. But because this is how I was. I'd be like, oh, that guy's like, love watching those shots.
Yeah.
When you can finally hit some of those casual golfers instantly respect you more because golf is so darn hard. They're like, this, I think I'm going to trust this guy more, respect him more, whether I've earned it or not. That's just the sad truth about golf.
Yeah,
it's like, if you're good and you can hit shots, people will like you. And of course, I'm really good at what I do, but like I think I've noticed that lately, especially when people are playing. As I have my bad rounds too, but especially when you have a great round, people are like, oh man, this guy's good. They want to play with, they want to invite you to those scramble tournaments. Then you want to meet, you meet their friends, you play with them, and then golf sends you to places you wouldn't have been if you give golf the time, the effort. and I have a
You
lot.
have, yeah.
If you give it, it will give back to you and kind of send you places like this, like doing a podcast with you and making new friends, and it'll send you to the places that you wouldn't have gone there if you never gave it the time and respect it deserves, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's
You know?
exactly why I started this podcast too, was for that reason.
Look
And
at all places you get to go.
I know, right?
I
yeah,
live
because of
vicariously
golf.
through
I
you.
love it. I know. I love
Like,
I get to travel so much.
Golf's giving
my
you
favorite.
so much.
So much.
But I know you've put in a lot of time and effort. I know you have a great swing, and you're like, you are not just a casual random golfer. You're a good golfer, but that wasn't easy.
Yeah, and I'm still working on it. My coach always yells at me because playing and visiting these nice courses, like you said, isn't the same as being there with your coach working on your swing and changing those bad habits.
No.
But
hard.
yeah, and one thing I always like to say too is your perspective with it. Like obviously it takes humility, it takes the mindset of being uncomfortable to see growth, but you have to assess your goals with it. And if it is to be a really good golfer, your journey is going to be different than mine. Like that's not my goal right now. My goal is to meet new people and go to new places. And so I have to shift kind of the action plans to meet those goals.
Totally.
So, it's that perspective of what's your goal with it? Is it to network? And then, if that's the case, maybe it's spending a lot more time around the putting green and chipping green and kind of, being able to handle the confidence of those aspects of the game. So then that way, you can have really good conversations the rest of the round, and you're not like worrying about like, oh, I missed this one and I'm now stuck in my head, and, just focus on what really matters about the game and playing the game out there so you can also network and have conversations out there.
Yeah. Love it.
Really good stuff. The steps that you talked about on the golf course and sharing value. So in marketing, it's all about building trust, and you've really done that well through social media and, like you said, the YouTube channel that you have and those resources that you give out for free. That builds trust with people because they get to see your style, your personality, your knowledge, all like without having to really engage much first. They can like feel you out a bit, before actually diving into working with you. So social media is huge in building trust and then ultimately like converting that to sales. Within business. And what has your journey been for social media? Because you're at a really high level right now as far as putting out a lot of quality content.
Yeah.
So what's your process been?
It's been just like golf, clunky and awkward at first.
Okay.
That's exactly how it's been. Doing my own videos, my selfie videos, just filming stuff, figuring it out. Then I set up a camera, filmed, sent it to an editor, tried Fiverr.
Yeah.
And it took a while. It probably took at least a year till I got my first client from social media. So it was clunky at first, but I also continued to be super consistent, keep posting, not worry what I look like or sound like. I'm like, do I sound dumb? Do I look weird? I probably do, but I'm gonna post anyway.
Yeah, I think everybody probably feels the same way about themselves.
Yeah, so it started with let's just do it. Let's just keep doing it. To let's get a little bit better. To let's get really specific about what we're doing. It's kind of like golf, honestly. Like, let's just do it and figure it out, and let's try and get better. Now, let's get really specific with our practice and this content. No joke, it's the same thing. Like, now my content is pretty specific. It is geared towards certain things. It might be to target a certain niche person, or it might be about a golf course for a reason. But it was ugly at first. Like my old videos were trash. They were not very good. But I stayed consistent, right? I've been doing it for a few years. Almost golf and social media. Yeah, about the same, like 3 years now, and I feel the same. I'm like, I feel like it's got a lot of work. I need do a lot more, but I'm consistently, we're out here just getting it, and it's you just have to be consistent. And I think once you understand social media, you can start to get a little bit more specific with it, and also be yourself. For a lot of time, I was like, oh, I want to be like that guy, or I want to do my stuff like him, but that's never going to work because that's not me.
Yeah.
You have to just be yourself.
I like that.
Probably some truth to that with golf. I think you can learn, but you can't be like, oh, I want to swing like him. Like, because your body might not. You just got to swing your swing and just embrace it for how weird it might look, and kind of just let the ego go. And then you will develop into your own cool little unique swing in your own social media, because it doesn't work. I tried it. I tried to be like, I want to be like that guy, but in Arizona.
Yeah.
It probably was okay, but I think once I started to be more myself and just be like, I'm just going to be Alex. And this is me. If you like me or not, fine. This is me, and hopefully you like me and enjoy my content. And if not, there's plenty of other people out there. And it's kind of how it went.
That's awesome. Yeah, I hear that often. Be yourself. And it's hard when we watch ourselves on a camera and we're like a little insecure sometimes about it.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the more you practice it, I found just like with golf, you feel more comfortable, more confident, and then that just starts to show more.
Yeah, and I'm sure you get, I honestly still get this way. I'm like, is my hair okay? Or no joke. And you guys are laughing. I'm like, I do content almost every day and I'm still like, I hope I sound okay. I hope I look okay.
Yeah.
But once it's out there, I just let it go. I don't care about likes anymore or anything. I'm like, it's just out there, put it out there and keep on going. On to the next.
Yes.
Some will do good, some will do bad, but I'm still just as insecure or like, anxious about how I'm being presented as anybody else. I just don't quit.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. I mean, having your goal in mind, and if your goal is to have resources for that one person that might, want to build that relationship with you, then that's all that matters is that one view. So really good perspective to have with it all.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for your time, Alex,
Of course.
and great
This was super
insight.
fun.
This was so fun. Yes, and literally could write a book with all the things that you said. It was so good to hear your experience, and thanks for sharing with us today.
Yeah, had a great time.